Now I can hear you.
There. Hi, Ham.
Hey, sorry.
No,
Took so long.
that's cool. I was going to read this thing this troll comment that I found on Facebook while I was waiting for you, just in case anyone
Oh,
is listening. Um, this Sebastian Carlson, who thinks he's an indie developer. Hopefully you can hear me okay.
yeah.
Okay. Says, I'm probably going to get a lot of flat hate from this, but yes, he will. But I have to confess and make this statement. I feel like people using these engines are lazy. Make a game from scratch is by far more impressive. And basically the little image is of him saying, when a game is made using GameMaker or Unity, I am not impressed.
Where to start with this guy?
Yeah.
The point of the game is not to impress you; it's to create something that's worth playing. That's fun. You don't have to be impressed. I mean, at its.
He hasn't done anything. I can't find his name or anything anywhere.
Well,
so that's why I'm
Sebastian
calling him a little
for you.
troll. Yeah, that's Sebastian for you. I like that. All right, I'm going to start up the show just to get things rolling. All right?
All right.
All right, so it's August 10th, 2014, and you're watching Mods on Air.
2 FPS, 3 RPGs, and 5 sim-type games.
Yeah.
I think you'd be able to come up with one here.
I'm actually pulling this one hard.
Ask all the people that need hacks to play Call of Duty. I can hear you groaning inwardly every time Sin's mentioned. You're just cringing.
All right, welcome everyone. Welcome to episode 438 of Mods on Air, bringing you the week in gaming news as modders, developers, and gamers ourselves. I'm here with Ham. Hello, Ham.
Hey, everybody.
And today we'll be bringing you the week in gaming news. We happen to not only be gamers ourselves, but we dabble a little bit in development.
Yeah.
So we're going to give you that unique perspective, or perhaps it's unique to you. What's going on? All right, there's a lot of stuff to talk about. I'm not overly excited about some of these topics, so I'm sorry to give you that a little bit, but there is a lot to bring up. And some of the stuff we're going to be touching on is like what's going on with Crytek. I found a piece of software that if you're into art and that kind of stuff, you might be very interested in.
Hey, I'm into art.
Yeah, I know you are. And we're going to be talking about some mods that probably shouldn't be made, but it's no surprise that they are being made. But to start off, let's talk a little bit about what's going on with Twitch.
Twitch.
Yeah, Twitch is suggesting that, well, we already know that they're not going to forever store our videos. We kind of should have known that, that if we make a show like this and we decide to use Twitch as a recorder and then keep it under our profile, it's not going to just stay there forever. They don't have that kind of, they're not YouTube. They're not saving your video for you. You want your video, you should download it or keep it or do something like that. But what is a little bit potentially disturbing is the idea that they're going to start muting unauthorized audio.
Which is sort of crazy since just about 100% of the broadcasters that stream their games use copyrighted audio or copyrighted music in the background.
Well, it could be music, or does that not apply to a game itself, which is copyrighted to the developer or publisher?
Right. Imagine trying to play maybe even GTA, which uses nothing but licensed music.
Right.
And like you said, and you've got stuff that's copyrighted, specifically made for the game. So it's kind of weird. Why would they even come up with a rule like that?
I don't know. It's potentially a very big problem, I think.
Twitch silence.
Of course, this could be, we could be reading into this incorrectly. Their idea of what unauthorized audio is could potentially just segregate audio files from bands, and everything else is okay. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you can stream any game you want, so it's a tough call.
Yeah, I'm not sure where they'll draw the line. I haven't talked to anybody yet that has been muted, but if I were to believe everything I read so far, I don't know, people have been muted playing all sorts of games so far. there's some game that recently came out, one of those games that you can use your own music for. I think it's called Crypto the Necro Dancer. I haven't played it, but you can use your own music. So people are streaming it, using their own music for the game, and and they get muted. So it's just really weird.
It's not just weird, it's dangerous to their profession as well as to our enjoyment of their service.
Yeah. And there was, I think I read one or two comments suggesting that it might be because Google just acquired them. So now they need to sort of get rid of any lawsuit potential. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What else is going on over at Pokemon? Over at Twitch is, they've been playing Pokemon in various ways. Last time it was the community plays Pokemon, and what the idea was that the community could start throwing stuff into the chat window, and some sort of program would decide whose entry would actually make the movement within the Pokemon game as it was displayed through Twitch. Now what they did was somebody came up with the idea that based on where a fish in a fishbowl is located on the screen is depending on where Pokemon will go and what he will do.
I support.
You support this? How?
Just because it's crazy. It's crazy and it makes no sense. There's no good reason for this to exist, and yet it does.
I guess it's almost like the Andy Warhol of art, playing video games. I don't know.
I can't help but to support this foolishness. It's I mean, what more can you say about it? It's a fish playing Pokemon.
Okay. Yeah. Fish have to have fun too. Then there's but this goes right along all the lines of the ridiculousness going on. I mean, we constantly talk about how Kickstarter is always doing these ridiculous types of well, they're not ridiculous. They're just unfulfilled games that are being developed or products that are being developed, and then they head over to Kickstarter. People give them money, and there's no repercussion when they pull out of it. Well, here's one which was oddball. Potato salad. Somebody wanted some potato salad, so they put it on Kickstarter. Pretty much just a ridiculous joke kind of nonsense. He ended up getting $55,000 so he could have some potato salad.
Well, that is the most expensive potato salad I've ever seen created. But
nobody else is getting any potato salad, just him.
Just him.
Yeah. People donated money to this.
It just goes to show you, if you ask for it and you wait long enough, online you will get it eventually. If you ask for money for anything in particular.
I want to jump back to Obi-Wan's comment there. Obi-Wan says something about Twitch here. I'm going to scroll up a little bit so you can see it in the window. It says, hard to play games over Twitch with a 20-second delay. You don't play games over Twitch, though. You just watch somebody else play them.
Yeah.
Unless you're referring to the Twitch, the community, Twitch plays Pokemon.
Yeah.
Then
I got that.
Then still, you don't even know if your request to move left is going to work.
Right.
So what's the difference on the big delay? But otherwise, you're right. This is not on live. On live was supposed to be a little bit better on lag. Okay. Yeah. All right. Apparently that game where you're riding a dinosaur and camping in the woods and upgrading your spear is working. It's not dead. It's still being developed.
I'd hope so, since people have paid for it, early access.
That's another story, because what goes on is the developer is like, I'm sorry, I know I promised like weekly updates. And he says, it turns out that he had some family issues and hasn't come around and hasn't worked on anything. This is what goes on. This is just like Kickstarter, Steam Early Access. It's just somebody, look at it as some kid working in his basement until he gets bored and doesn't feel like doing it anymore. Give him your money. Go ahead. There's a problem with this system of giving your money to somebody that does not have to live up to these expectations.
And this was actually a Kickstarter success as well. So it went from a Kickstarter success to Steam Early Access.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and there were lots of promises that have not been fulfilled. People got something that's playable for sure, because I've seen this game actually being streamed on Twitch.
Right. I think I have a
Yeah.
video somewhere of this going on. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, the volume.
The Stomping Land is a multiplayer survival game about
Hey, my
dinosaurs.
volume's back.
You are a hunter, and your primary
Alright.
source of food.
We don't need to
is a
listen to it,
dinosaur.
really. I just want to show you that you're running around in this. It looks like a very cool game. It looks also a lot more involved than you would think. It's not just running around going after dinosaurs and making them your pets. It's also about surviving. Think of it as an involved RPG.
Yeah.
Because it is a role-playing game of a sort.
It's definitely ambitious for sure. Ambitious, wide open. When I saw it being streamed, it didn't look bad. It didn't look like my kind of game in particular, but it didn't look bad.
How is it ambitious compared to other games?
Well,
Is it ambitious because there's, one person working on the game? Then I'd say yes.
yeah, right, in that respect.
Okay.
One person. I'm not sure. I mean, perhaps there are more, but I think it's just one. Could be wrong.
Is it Sebastian?
It must be Sebastian.
It must be Sebastian, yes. He programmed it from the ground up because he doesn't use other people's engines because that doesn't impress him.
Yeah, it's not impressive, and that's important. The news that I saw about this earlier this week was that the developer has also switched to Unreal Engine 4. So maybe this is not Sebastian.
What was he working on? Unity?
I'm not.
I just assume.
Or
Oh,
something
that's
else.
right. No, it was UD. It was Unreal SDK, and he moved to the actual engine itself. That's what it was. I remember now.
Okay.
I guess. I mean, it's still going to be a big time to turn it over into something else. And I understand the desire for people to want to do this, but I actually don't know if Ham has learned this lesson. You just have to finish it and give it in to the people. That's it. There's an end. You have to say it's done at this point. Move on to something else.
It's the last thing I'm learning. Still.
It's a tough lesson.
Yeah, you've got to have a bit of humility because you can always say, well, this could be better.
Right. No, yeah, my first projects I really did not like, and I was like, it's not ready. But somebody talked me into doing it. Just release it, and I'm glad they did. I still think it sucks, but I learned a lesson, and I turned things out.
Yeah,
And you get better every time.
that's true. Can't quite get better unless you have projects that you start and stop and release.
And release. There's lots of starts and stops in every project.
Yeah, that's true. The and release part is very important.
You never released that game, did you? That one with the blocks.
No, but it's still being worked on though.
Okay. You just have to say it's over.
I still need to.
That's what I'm trying to find out here, Segrist. I know. Where is it?
It's
No
going to be
answer.
done. I promise you, it's going to be done before the year's end. Done and released.
My game too.
And the good part is it's going to be released for free on PC. I'm making that announcement here.
Wow.
It'll only
Mine
cost
is
you
not.
money on consoles.
Mine is going to be premium game on PC, and it'll be on mobile, and that'll be freemium, so it'll be free, but you have to pay for little pieces here and there inside. Same game, slightly different method. Okay. Moving on. We have survival games, since we're talking about this kind of survival out in the wilderness kind of thing. There are some games that are moving on beyond just zombies, the idea of just crafting. There is this game out there called, I can't remember the name, it begins with an E-I-E or E-I, Eidolon? E-I-D-O-L-O-N.
Not sure if I've heard of this.
It's got an interesting art style. And here you are sort of wandering around this land, I guess you could say, and you're not really fighting anything. You're just looking through stuff. They are calling it a sort of a survival game. I'm not exactly sure why. And it has a different kind of look to it.
Looks like that Proteus.
And
game,
some of the
almost.
some people are suggesting that this game is actually quite relaxing to play. I don't know who's played it. I didn't know you can.
The developer of Proteus, I remember, I don't know if it was some sort of Twitch discussion, or not Twitch, but Twitter discussion, or if it was some sort of blog post, but I recall reading very briefly about this big hubbub about whether these types of games should be considered walking simulators, and whether that was a derogatory term or not. Because you get to a point where you ask yourself, is it really a game if all I'm doing is just walking around and giving tidbits of stuff?
Well, supposedly you can do more in this game than you can in the one you mentioned. For instance, you don't have to go through crafting. You can find a fishing pole, pick it up, and start fishing. And supposedly it is on Steam for $15 right now.
Oh.
I don't know if it's the kind of game that I want to put time into it to take it away from something else.
Yeah.
You'll find pages to read about the story as you go through it. Pick up these pages and read. And I don't know.
It might just be that there's an emerging subgenre of games that's just not for me.
Yeah.
Not for us. And perhaps they are legitimate games. They're just something we're not into.
Did you ever play that game, Imagine Proteus?
No. I
Okay.
did not play Proteus. I just saw videos of it. And that was enough for me to not want to play it.
Aw.
Just can't do it. I
Missed
can, but I won't pay for it.
Obi-Wan thinks Myst looks cooler. Well, Myst was it was a really well done game. Really well done game.
Yeah.
For its time. For the first version release. The other ones just started to get out of hand. Or I moved beyond it. I don't know which. Okay. Let's go on to what modders are doing instead of before we move on to modders, let's talk about a new game here, which I don't know how well this is going to go over with real people. Gamers might kind of enjoy it, but I could see this being very controversial. It's a game called Lucius 2. I don't even know if there was a Lucius 1.
There was.
There was. Oh.
There was, yeah.
And in this case, you get to play as a kid who goes around basically taking over the minds of people and killing them. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, this is, you take over their minds or you set things up in such a way as to make sure they're dead.
Mm-hmm.
The first one was, I think it was criticized a bit for being just a bit too contrived because you basically just set out traps and had people killed. This one is claiming it's going to be a bit more, I don't know, creative, letting you be a bit more creative with how you kill people.
So this child's in a psychiatric ward, escapes, and decides to kill everyone with his mind. He's Lucius, of course.
Lucius. That name is so funny to me. Lucius. I don't know. The first one looked ridiculous. I had a friend who bought it and played it and said it was ridiculous.
Oh, he even said it was ridiculous.
But this one just looks even more ridiculous. I might have to get this one.
Oh, must have made him money in order to do it again.
Yeah.
Now, if they, you know what, this may have been more interesting if they threw in like soldiers who are trying to contain you, governmental soldiers, because they know that you've accidentally escaped, but you're still within the facility, so they have to send in the soldiers to try and capture you. Sort of like that whole Fear, the first Fear game, how that started out, where and then you could like try and take over their minds, turn them against each other, or now you have a game.
It's just,
as opposed to one of those movies where the little kid is the devil reincarnate and going
That's
around and
basically what this is supposed to be.
killing everyone. Which begins with an L, doesn't it? That movie that I'm thinking of with the little kid.
I thought it was Poltergeist.
No,
Poltergeist?
no, I'm not thinking of that one. I'm thinking of a different one.
Lucius.
It's no, not Lucas. I'm not gonna remember what it is. Movies and
It'll be
It's not
after the
Rose.
show. You're like, damn it, that was it.
not Rosemary's Baby. Let's see what else.
Carrie.
All right, it's gonna take me a while. Maybe I'll figure it out. The Good Son. No. Omen.
Omen.
The Omen.
The
But I
Omen,
forget what
okay.
the little kid's name was. All right, doesn't matter. At least I remember then.
Leonidas.
Oh, Damien was his name. I thought it
Okay,
began with an
oh.
L. All right. Here you go.
Nice.
Thank you, Internet. Okay.
Nice to recall.
Moving on to what modders are doing. Modders have added a zombie apocalypse to Grand Theft Auto.
And it's about time.
It makes sense.
Yeah, it actually makes a lot of sense. It's,
But which Grand Theft Auto is this? It looks really old. It says it's Grand Theft Auto Online.
which,
Okay.
yeah, which one would that be?
It looks like an old version of Grand Theft Auto, but that could just be the way it was made. But let's go on to another game that I think is very representative of the decline of human civilization, and that would be this mod where you can this mod for GTA that allows you to rape people.
Oh, man. That's a feature I was really hoping they would bring back.
Yeah, so now you can go around and rape other players in the game. I'm not going to show a lot of this, so there, that's enough. Hopefully you saw that. You can look it up the rest of yourself. That's why I think it's a horrible thing. I think it's a ridiculous idea, and I'm not surprised. No, I am very surprised that it hasn't happened sooner.
This is what people will spend their time doing.
Hey, this is what you should have done. You could have made so much money on this. The rape mod.
I know. If only I had been more active in I don't know. I don't even know how to wittily finish
All
that.
you have to do is sit there and think of something that's really offensive to somebody and then make that as a mod for the game, and you're good.
Yeah.
Think of some of the arguments you may have had with your significant other there and make a mod about that and see how well that goes over with the community.
Yeah. I'll be famous. Super famous. And everybody want to download it.
And alone.
And alone.
I think it might... I don't know if it's made by the same guy that did the zombie mod or if it's just on his channel. It might be the same guy. Which is Chromex mods, something like that.
The other one, the GTA Online one, looked like it was GTA 5. And I think Obi-Wan said that, it might be. But for me, that begs the question, how was he able to do that when the PC version isn't released yet? Is it?
I don't know.
I don't know.
If you're going to wait a year to release a version for me to play, I'm probably not going to buy it. So I don't care. Rockstar. Because you don't care for me, I don't care for you. Yeah. Show me you care, and maybe, we can turn this relationship around. Activision notes an industry-wide downturn in pre-orders.
That's surprising.
Not enough people are pre-ordering Call of Duty or whatever other game that they're making. They make other games, right?
I think they might. I'm not 100% certain anymore. That's a shame. I guess they took a risk with going slightly into the future, and it didn't pay off. I feel bad for them, and I just want to give them money because I feel so bad.
Yeah. I wonder if this is a backlash from what we were talking about earlier. People giving money to Kickstarter or to Steam Greenlight or, whatever it is. People are tired of giving their money to something that doesn't go anywhere. Or people are now focusing on giving their money to something that doesn't go anywhere instead of pre-ordering.
Yeah.
I wonder which it is.
I mean, I can't say I don't know. I can't say I'm surprised, but then again, I did expect these hype trains to just get more and more ridiculous and people to continually give their money years and years ahead of production, and I don't know. I thought it was eventually going to get to the point where on the release day of Call of Duty you can pre-order the next one.
Yeah, I know. It is out every year, so why not?
Yeah.
Well, it comes out in November, and I guess you can pre-order in January.
Yeah.
I'm tired of pre-ordering games that I become disappointed when I actually get it for one reason or another.
Yeah.
I'd rather pay a little bit more and get a game I like because I waited and found out it's more for me.
Agreed. I mean, we talk about how some free-to-play game models have gamble crates where it's basically thinly disguised gambling because you pay money and you might get something you want it. This is almost the same thing. It's just at a very different level. It's because it's a gamble.
Mm-hmm.
You're paying. You think you might know what you're getting, but you're not quite sure because you don't know. Mm-hmm. They don't believe in demos. They only believe in pre-orders.
Mm. Yeah, demos don't exist anymore. Now it's like betas.
Yeah. Right. You get betas that you pay into.
Mm-hmm. And even these big companies can be dangerous for you to throw your money at. For instance, what if somebody said, I'm going to pre-order Ryse, Son of Rome, who is being built right now by Crytek. And then, a couple weeks ago, Crytek says, we're in such financial trouble that we're losing our business.
Yeah. Can't pay you guys. But let's make this happen.
Right. Just pre-order, Hopefully the game will come out.
Yeah.
That's what's happening. You are banking on it. Banking on the game coming out. Actually coming out, first of all. Second, being good. Being worth the money that you gave, yeah?
Right. So here's the Xbox One launch exclusive that got, I think, a poor reception. I'm not sure if it got poor reviews, but I know it definitely got a overall poor reception, and now they've got to turn back to PC gamers like, please help us. It's almost to say we made this huge mistake by getting in bed with Microsoft with an exclusive Xbox One game. Now we need to port it to PC in the hopes that you all will help us out since we're in such dire straits.
Most of the time, companies will do this because they get a good, I don't want to call it a kickback. They get a discount on things. Because publishing a game, a big game, real game, through Xbox, through Microsoft or whatever console, it does cost money. Microsoft says, give us money, and then you can do it.
Yeah. Microsoft, once you start to...
Exclusivity.
Yeah. It's, for people who don't know, once you start to deal with Microsoft, beyond just a sort of a very end-user level, when you start to get into any sort of business relationship with them, they want money, and they are very selective, highly selective about who they let on their platforms, and
in some cases, I've heard of them saying, if you don't release on us first, then you can't release on us at all.
Yeah. Yep. It's really weird. It's and Microsoft may have always been this way. It only sort of, I had this sort of epiphany one of these days thinking like, man, why are they such assholes? And I thought to myself, for a moment. It was companies like Google who decided to bring out products that were competitive with Microsoft, but they offered them for free. And Google sort of brought this, I think they spearheaded this culture of free software, free, for the most part, useful software. And Microsoft has always sort of been about, hey, here's a piece of software that you need and so widely used, you just need to pay for it. And so I'm not sure if it's that Microsoft has increased being assholes or if they've always just been, but it's never been this apparent because until sort of Google came about, we always had to pay for software, almost always. But to get back to the point, yeah, they charge all sorts of money to be on their platforms.
Yeah.
And it kind of sucks when comparing to other opportunities that you may have.
Mm-hmm. I hear Microsoft is even going to, even with everything that they're doing, they seem to be doing it wrong, and I don't understand what their mentality here is. For instance, they just came out with the latest version of the Surface tablet, but it's supposed to be a tablet, but it's also supposed to be a laptop. They're saying it's the best of both worlds, and people who are reviewing it are saying it's not good as either.
Yeah,
it's just mediocre. And then you come up with the what was the other one? There was another good point that I had regarding them and their software. I just read something the end of this week where they talked about their next operating system and how they're going to get rid of some of the I don't know what they call them, jewels or icon. Anyway, if you roll your mouse over on Windows 8, if you roll your mouse over to the side, it has some extra options, right? Isn't that what the charms are?
Yeah.
They want to get rid of those. So in other words, let's make it more like a phone because that's doing so well for them.
Well, here's what I've read. I don't know what it's actually going to be in the end, but what I read was that they're going to get rid of the charms bar on the side, and add it to each individual application window. I think you'll be able to scroll towards the top of the window and maybe get the same thing, which is kind of weird. The charms bar was, in theory, a good idea. I think Microsoft did themselves a disservice by changing its function as more updates to Windows 8 came out. The whole idea was supposed to be that you've got a consistent set of options off to the side that sort of they're contextual for the app you're in. So if you pull up the charms menu and you click the settings icon when you're in a particular app, it'll bring up the settings panel for that app. Or if you click share, then it'll give you sharing abilities that the app has available, and so on. And that sort of went away as they updated Windows 8 and just became less relevant to the point where I don't want to use the charms thing for anything, with the exception of on the laptop turning up the brightness, turning the brightness up and down, and that's only because my little function keys, whatever software controls those, is installed right now. They've done so much backpedaling.
Well, they should.
Just left alone.
Yeah, they should discontinue it and fix it. Release it as Windows 9. Yeah. We'll just call this the Windows ME of the 2000 era, 2010s. Yeah. All right. I'm going to move over with a Crytek and jump over to... actually, I don't remember which one. Oh, that was more Crytek stuff. Okay. Jump over to Valve. There's just a little bit of a rumor here that's saying, somebody's saying, did Valve just release Source Engine 2? And I got to say, Valve is constantly making upgrades, and whatever Source Engine you think you had, you no longer have because they keep updating it. So I don't think Source Engine has a number. It just has current version.
Yeah, there's some sort of internal revision for the engine, but that's, I don't think we're going to see, and I could be wrong with this, but I don't think we're going to see what people expect, where you're going to see a Source logo with a 2 on the end or something like that, or just some big announcement like this is Source 2 and this is everything it can do. They've been doing these gradual revisions and updates since release.
Portal 2, I was going to say.
Yeah.
Well, since Portal 1, maybe, because that's when they started just suddenly updating, and you didn't realize it, but things are looking better.
Right. Yeah. You go back and look at Half-Life 2. It's worlds different from Portal 2 in terms of quality. But technically they're using the same source engine.
Yeah.
But that's not really the case. They've just added all these updates and things like that. And from a comment that I read about people digging around in some of the files for Dota 2, and this is where they're claiming that Source Engine 2 is actually live in Dota 2. One of the comments I read mentioned that the way things are working, there's sort of a plug-and-play aspect to the engine now, where they can swap out a different renderer, they can swap out different, inputs and things like that, so that they can sort of plug and play into this core. So it's, in a sense, it may be tough to tell what you're getting, because each Source Engine game might be very unique. Some aspects will be very unique to that game, so that it will work a certain way. So, yeah, Source Engine 2, maybe, but it might be a bit more seamless than people realize. But then again, I could be wrong, completely wrong.
Also, some people think they're finding things that relate to Half-Life 3 in these bits of code, but really, come on.
Yeah, then you're looking too deep.
If it is, then they're making a mistake. They should never release Half-Life 3.
It should be released as a board game.
Only on the iOS.
Yeah.
Okay. Resident Evil is going to remake the remake. They're basically going to take the game, upgrade the engine, and release it again. They've already done this once before. They'll do it again.
Yeah. Because why not?
Good or bad idea? I don't know. Was never my kind of game, so I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. It's too slow for me.
Right.
Oh, there you go.
I enjoyed the series.
I think Welshie did too.
I think up until the fifth one was probably when they took it a bit too weird for me, or a bit too differently. I finished it, but once I saw the sixth one and played the demo on the Xbox of the sixth one, I was like, this is completely different from what Resident Evil started as, and what it for me what it should be. And so I stopped at 5. We'll see. I don't know. If they remake this, are they going to try to remake it as something that's a horror game or an action game like Resident Evil 6? Because, I don't know. I guess it depends upon how they update it, because if you know it's coming, it's not really going to be... It's not going to give you that tension that you had with the original. I'm all for making something look better and bringing something that was loved way back when, modernizing it, but...
Let's make it so you can pull the trigger a few times in a row rather than boom, boom, boom. Crawl on your toes there for a while, and then boom, and run. Oh, I can't run. I'm too slow. That's how I felt like when I was playing it.
Yeah, it was like that deliberately to help increase the
anticipation.
Tension.
Yeah, the tension, right?
Yeah.
No.
But it's weird because since I didn't play all of Resident Evil 6, but I know with Resident Evil 4 and 5, they started to go from zombies to people that were infected with some sort of bug and were in a zombie-like state, but they weren't actual zombies in the sense that we got with the first 3 Resident Evils. So it's interesting, and I recall reading complaints about that. People were just like, we want zombies, we want actual zombies, not this sort of weird infected with some parasite type thing. And this might just be a way to get back to that.
I don't know. All right, Evolve. Evolve was a game that I got to check out a little bit, maybe, according to my Steam profile, and suddenly it is delayed. You know, they finished up the alpha, and I guess they got enough feedback to say, we've got a lot of work to do. I don't know, but there really isn't any word as to what they got out of that bit of information. Is it because things were taking too long for the server to handle the each level? Because I noticed that it did feel like there was a long delay between games. Is it because they realized the maps are not as good as they thought, or they need time to build all the additional maps? Is there something else that they found out that we don't know about? I don't know.
Has their own hype, sort of.
Or is it as simple as they don't want to release it when another game is coming out, so they're trying to push it to another date? Don't know.
Could be all of those, all of the above.
Or they want to time it with the release of the Dead Island movie.
I think that's a perfect strategy.
Would you watch a Dead Island movie? I don't know. I guess it depends.
Only if it's directed by Ubo.
Oh, you bowl.
That's the only way I'm watching it. I don't know. I don't know. Dead Island. I enjoyed it for the madness that it was.
Well, those of you who don't know, that Dead Island was going to be made into a movie, and then something happened, and I don't know what happened, but now it's back on track as being a movie again. Maybe it just means that they're shopping the script around again. I don't know what it means.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of games out there that have been supposedly worked on as a movie, and where are they now? I don't know.
They're sitting in the pile of things waiting to be looked over that will never be looked over.
No. I guess right about now, if you're not Stan Lee, you're not getting a movie made.
It certainly feels that way. Does Dead Island need a movie?
Well, they did. No, that wasn't Dead Island, was it? Was it Dead Island that came out with the trailers that were very interesting, with the person with the trailer that was backwards in reverse order? I think that was Dead Island, and that was really well done. But playing the game got kind of boring, but it doesn't mean that it couldn't be made into a movie that was quite enjoyable on the Sci-Fi Channel. I mean, that would probably go over really well right after Sharknado.
Yeah. I'd probably watch. Oddly enough, I'd be happier to watch a sci-fi made-for-TV version of Dead Island than a theatrical release.
Yeah, and turn that into a little sci-fi series.
Yeah.
Every week we come back and watch them do the same thing, just like when you played the game.
I could totally do that.
Okay, there's a word from Croteam, who's working on the Talos Principle. Croteam. You remember Croteam? They did Serious Sam, right? So in theory...
Oh, right. I thought it was Creo or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, no.
Right. God, I really hate to get away from this. The Crazy God guy says I've done well, so...
Okay, I don't want to hear him commenting on stuff, but they were the ones that, came out with the trying to put humor into a super fast action shooter that could be played multiplayer. So, you would get waves and waves of enemies running at you, and you'd have to kill them all, and the guy would make crude jokes sometimes or something like that, which were kind of funny. I don't know what the point of this is, but it looks like he keeps moving these cameras or laser pointers, or maybe he's surveying the area. No, I don't know, but
Yeah.
wow, that looks boring. But they made some interesting games, so it could be fun to see what they come up with. And the games that they do come up with usually are not very expensive, so that's always a plus.
Yeah. Yeah, they look nice enough, and they're not expensive, and it's nice. This does look really weird and boring.
I'll skip ahead and see if something else happens. Nope. Let's skip ahead a little more. Nope. A little more. Now we're doing the same thing again. So I guess you're just walking around as a surveyor in this game, because that looks like surveying equipment.
Yeah.
Well, $20 game, if that's what it turns out to be, I'd consider it.
I'd need to know what's going on first. Just really weird.
All right, another game, BioShock, is supposedly actually going to come to the iPhone.
Oh man, that little device is getting more and more powerful.
Yeah, the original BioShock is doing that. I don't know if I agree with the idea, since playing these first-person perspective games on the iPhone has been quite frustrating for me. Because you need a look, you need a move, and you need a trigger. So how do you do that on a touch screen?
Magic.
Magic.
That's the only answer I have right now.
You can. The only one that does it is the Nvidia Shield Tablet, right? Because that one comes with all the peripherals that you need. You can go out and buy a joystick for your iPhone. I am not going to buy a joystick for my iPhone just to find out that the game doesn't actually work with that joystick, because that's also a possibility. But somehow BioShock thinks that they're going to be able to do it, so we'll see. It sounds like a lot of effort to put it out on a portable device like that just doesn't going to really hit it.
Yeah, it's true. But there was a game, and I don't know if this was covered in last week's topics or not, or if I just saw this somewhere else. There's a game, a portable game or a mobile game called Modern Combat 5. It's like
I talked about that last week, and I showed it on my phone.
Yeah, so apparently it's gotten like rave reviews or
Oh, it's great. It looks awesome. It plays really well. But again, it has the same joystick issues that I'm talking about. I cannot play it because I can't do the two joysticks and shoot at the same time with my phone. I would be okay if I used two joysticks and had a finger button for shooting. I would be better with that, but I don't. I have to take my finger up off of one and shoot, and then put it back down and control, and I don't want to do that. You can put it on auto shoot, but what kind of fun is a shooter if it's automatically shooting?
That's just point and don't shoot. Yeah. I don't know. It does seem like an odd fit for sure.
Yeah. But Nvidia Shield thinks they've got it, because what they did was they pulled the screen off of the controller that they were working with, and they threw it onto a 7-inch tablet or something. And they're saying this Android tablet is a really good tablet, and that it's doing very well in creating this so-called 4K display on this tiny tablet, which I don't even know would make a difference on such a small little thing.
Yeah.
And it costs $300 if you want to try it out. And they're saying it's a great $300 tablet, and it's only a good gaming system. I don't know why, because I don't know why they're saying that.
I have a hard time understanding why this needs to exist. I'm still sort of struggling with that. Maybe when I see one in person, all that stuff, it'll become clear to me. But just reading about it and looking at it and seeing some really short video demonstrations, I just feel hard pressed to understand why I want this versus if I'm really that serious about mobile gaming, I'd get a PS Vita or a 3DS or something, where there's no compromise in terms of controllers and screen resolutions and weird things like that. Like, these games are designed specifically for this hardware. I don't know. Like, who's the target audience for this?
I don't know. People who want to do mobile gaming but want real mobile gaming. I don't know who they are. I'm along with you. If I want to really do some gaming, I'll do like the Vita or something, which somebody gets smacked a little bit. If you read through the comments of this, the author is actually like trying to defend himself in some cases, which I think is the wrong idea, and it instantly makes me not like this so-called writer. Like one person who says, it sounds like you're like leading us into talking, saying something and then just trailing off and not actually finishing a sentence like he was expecting him to say, but it sucks. And then the author's like, but it doesn't. And he says, no, I mean, don't just leave me hanging. So he goes at and says fixed. There you go. So there, fixed it for you. Somebody here says, might as well buy a 3DS and some games, or God forbid a Vita, which I don't know why they say that. Yeah. And then the author, Mike Fahey, here says, yeah, because that's exactly the same thing. Well, then explain to us, Mike Fahey, why is it not the same thing? Why is this not the same thing as a portable gaming device? And if it's not a portable gaming device, that makes it a gaming device that I play at home. So why wouldn't I be using my Xbox or my PlayStation or my PC instead of this smaller device?
Right, exactly. So Mike Fahey or anyone else that has an idea that can help us out, please write in to mailbag at MODSonair and tell us exactly who this is for and what makes it so great.
Somebody else writes, Android gaming, no thank you. And he writes back, oh, well, thanks for stopping by. In other words, who cares what you have to say, is what he's saying there. And like, wait a minute. So this person has a comment about Android gaming. I kind of agree that I don't care for Android or iOS gaming. Doesn't mean he can't have his opinion and still read your self-involved article here. Which the more I read this, the more frustrated I'm getting, and I'm going to start calling him out. I don't want to do that here on the show. Be an ass on your own time.
Sometimes you have to be an ass.
So I guess in some ways I'm saying, if I'm going to be doing gaming, I want an actual controller. If I'm going to do portable gaming, I don't want to be carrying around a controller and a tablet and trying to have the two work together while I'm on the train or something, because obviously they're no longer stuck to each other. So I can't just hold the device. I have to prop it up on my knee or something. I don't know. Vita. Hey, what do you know? A beautiful screen with the controllers built into it. Maybe it's not as big of a screen, but you know what? It has everything right there and almost fits in my pocket.
Yeah. And it's weird because I find myself saying like, hey, there's a screen built in and there's a controller, and that's exactly what the first generation Shield was. But at the same time, it still wasn't. Even though it had that, it seemed like an awkward device in terms of its size. Like, I'm not sure how you would get away with shoving that in your pocket, and it also doesn't have games specifically designed for it, like a PS Vita or 3DS. So it's, yeah, I do find it kind of odd that we're saying like this is what it should have when the first generation did have it, but it was still different from its competitors.
Yeah.
And that's, and at the same time, that's also wasn't one of its selling points either. It was, the selling point was supposed to be, or at least they made a big deal of it, was the streaming and in-home streaming. Like, you could be on your couch and your PC could be somewhere else and you could play it, which...
Right, that's right.
I don't know.
Okay. I don't like him. Apparently... Well, we already knew that Tom Cruise likes playing video games, and if you didn't, that's because you really haven't noticed that every now and then he comments or somebody writes a story about him playing games in his trailer or wherever it is. Well, in this case, back in the 90s, he was playing a game that was put together by Bungie. Now I'm trying to remember what that was. Marathon. Marathon was a game, a shooter, put together by Bungie. Here, I'll even play a little video of it here for you. And he got stuck while playing the game. Well, he is such a celebrity that he had his boy servant call Bungie and say, listen, I'm stuck on a level. How do I get through this? And the first person he was talking to at Bungie was getting frustrated because he's like, well, where in the level are you? I don't know. You don't know how to describe where you are. And then eventually Bungie puts on one of their interns who kindly starts helping. And then there was something else in there where eventually Tom Cruise jumps onto the phone and starts saying, look, I'm here. How do I get through this? Come on, help me figure this out. And then supposedly the intern asks in a joking manner, I don't know if it was joking or not, it says, Mr. Cruise, if you wanted to do an ad for the game, and the lackey shouts out over the phone, no endorsements. I would turn around and say, well then, no help with your game.
Have you ever played a marathon?
No, I never did. I didn't even know it existed.
I recall playing one of them. I'm not sure which one. At the time, I was very young, so it was kind of a frightening experience. But at the same time, it was really weird because it was not Doom and it wasn't Wolfenstein, but it was this completely different thing, and I don't know. It just felt weird.
That doesn't sound good.
I mean, I guess it was okay, but it was weird. I think it was one of the first-person shooters I ever recall. They were being team AI.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like non-playable AI that was on your team that would help you throughout the levels. But it was still just felt weird. Bungie remake Marathon. Obi says it didn't have blood in it. I think you might be right.
Yeah. I just saw in the video a creature getting killed, and it turned to what looks like snow, TV snow, and then disappeared.
It's
like static.
Yeah.
All right, well, this next one I actually put on the list for Welshie, who's not here. He says, Bridesmaids directors are in talks for a female lead Ghostbusters reboot. All-female cast as the Ghostbusters.
What?
As directed by the guy who put together Bridesmaids. That'll be quite a movie.
I'm not against there being women as the Ghostbuster people. It just seems like a really odd, forced decision.
Yeah, it sounds forced. Yes, there you go.
It's fine if you want to do it, as long as it's a good movie, but it just seems like it's like, why would you need to do that? And is it supposed to be a sequel or a remake? What's happening to my childhood? First Ninja Turtles, Ghostbusters.
Yeah. Yep. All right, this next one is the piece of software that I was bringing up that I thought somebody might be interested in. It's called Inkscape. And basically, it's Adobe Illustrator for free.
I've heard of Inkscape, and I think I maybe installed it once or twice, but didn't do anything with it. And
well, if you're doing vector graphics, which occasionally people send me vector graphics and I have to use them for whatever reason, now I have a way to open it without having to spend $300 or $400
on Illustrator.
On Illustrator.
Yeah, there's Inkscape, Paint.net, and of course GIMP, and those were supposed to be like the solutions for as alternatives to Adobe products. And I recall having Inkscape, and I don't know if I was messing around with it on PC or if I was messing around with it when I was messing around with Linux, because it's definitely got a Linux port.
Yeah.
And I just didn't give it the time it should have. And it was one of these things where it's like, oh, this is still installed. I've never used this. Uninstall. But
I'm surprised that you're not using it for any kind of vector graphics type stuff. I guess because you being more of an artist, that's why. Me, it makes sense that I'm just making transparent PNGs in Photoshop and using those.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I never found too big of a need to use it because I've got a legit copy of Photoshop and Illustrator.
Okay.
So I've never actually needed it.
I do have a legit copy of Photoshop. I use that. And as a matter of fact, I finally gave in and did the subscription model.
Did you?
Yeah.
Wow. I considered it, and then I looked at the prices, and I was like, I'll hold off.
Well, the other option is I can continue using CS2, or, which is really getting kind of old now, or I can subscribe and always have that option to unsubscribe.
True. But I thought I looked at some of the options, and it was something like, here's the price, and I was like, oh, it doesn't seem too bad. And then it was like, but you have to be billed annually, and I was like, I don't know. I'll have to relook, because I recall being interested and then just saying, maybe not right now.
Okay. I think that's going to wrap it up for us today. You want to talk about something else? You got any other little tidbits?
Well, the only thing I'll say is the reason I was late today
Wow. Well,
is because I was playing this free weekend. I think Steam has 3 free weekends going on right now, and for the people listening, of course, the weekends won't be there.
That's long.
Yeah,
It's
they'll
over.
be gone. But I'd say worth checking out. There are 3 games that they've had. One is Strike Vector, which I didn't put too much time in, but it seemed decent enough. Seemed nice. I'm not sure if it's on sale as well. The other is Insurgency, which I already do own. Great game. Seems like a nice.
I own that. Yeah.
Seems like a nice mix between Battlefield, Call of Duty, and Counter-Strike. Just nice.
Strike Vector is like almost like a mech type flying game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Gives you a feel of I don't know, trying to attack the Death Star or something with the next wing. And the last game is eventually free-to-play game called Noskarth or Noskarth. It's supposed to take place in the Legacy of Kain universe, but an unrelated game. It's a team deathmatch.
What is it called?
Game.
I can't look it up.
Nosgoth. So it's either Nosgoth or Nosgoth. And
Thank you.
it'll be free soon. I don't know how soon, but they've got a free weekend public beta, and you can pay, I don't know, $2.50 to continue to have access after the free weekend is over.
What is it, like medieval FPS?
It's a third-person game.
Yeah.
And this is what I've spent most of the weekend playing. It's actually a lot more fun than I expected. It's asymmetric team balance, so both teams have completely different abilities, but they play well. Where both, if you choose a vampires team, then you've got completely different tactics than if you play as the humans, and it actually works surprisingly well. And it's so far it doesn't seem to suffer from any pay to win stuff.
Super cheap.
Yeah, $2.50 right now for the free weekend. It's
Unless you buy all the packs. What good are the packs?
The packs give you some sort of gold boost and maybe skins, some player skins, and well, not gold boost, but gold and boost. But all the stuff you can buy so far just looks like either boost, some sort of XP boost, or gold boost, or just skins. So and everything else.
So you're saying getting the higher priced one really doesn't matter?
From what I've seen so far, it doesn't really matter, no.
Because for $2.50, I might just get it just for the sake of having it and checking it out.
And even before you do that, well, it's just a few hours left. It's not a big download. You should check it out, see if you like it. I like it, but I'm still wavering on it because I'm like, $2.50. I don't know. It's going to eventually be free, completely free, but that's going to be sometime in the fall or winter.
If we ever change over to our new format, I'd say let's get it so we can play it.
Yeah, it's at least worth checking out. I've been having a lot of fun with it. Just surprised how well it functions, because when I was reading about it before, and seeing some videos, I was like, this looks pretty shitty, but I'm surprised. So that's all I want to mention. This Nosgoth place or game, it doesn't seem completely horrible.
Insurgency, I don't remember playing it, but I know I have it and I know I've played it. Otherwise, I'd comment on it.
It's a good time. It's got.
Why don't we still play it?
I don't know. I really don't know because it's.
That's my point. You know, if it was that good, why aren't I playing it now?
Well, I still play it occasionally, and in fact, if I wasn't so tired, I would have been playing it all night. But I played a round or two yesterday. They've just recently added some updates. I think that's part of the reason why there's a free weekend going on. It's noticeably different when you log in, or not log in, but start up the game. It's nice. It's a weird place in between a big Battlefield and a Counter-Strike, and possibly a Call of Duty, but not quite. Not really as fast-paced at all.
Which is $7.50 right now.
Yeah, if you guys haven't played that, I'd say check it out. It's definitely worth considering.
Good.
And that's all. That's all I had to say.
That's it. All right. Okay. I'll wrap it up. Oh, next week. I'm not going to make it. I got things. Sorry, as I posted it in a chat, and I just thought I'd throw it out there so people perhaps have a verbal version of it. Okay. I'll wrap it up. I'll thank you, Ham. Thank you very much for joining me this morning and actually making this show possible. Yeah. And I have to find the closing so that I can let everybody else know that we'll be back in 2 weeks. I'm sorry about that, but 2 weeks, and we'll talk about the games, week in news, maybe 2 weeks in news. Who knows? So go play some games, play Insurgency or something like that. Check it out right now, just an hour.
Thanks for watching this week, and come back next week when we will broadcast another live show. Details for this and all past episodes can be found at MODSonair.com. We welcome your feedback via email at mailbag@modsonair.com. And please consider subscribing to modsonline.com to support our show. The opinions expressed by individuals on this program are not necessarily the opinions of our sponsors, owners, or partners.
I'm going to play the one about facial fitness. Apparently, there is a new workout regimen for your face. And you won't at all be embarrassed using it in public. That's not it. You don't have to bang a ball on your face. Yeah, it's Japanese, so of course. Oh, what is this crazy thing? And what are you actually working out so you can do?
Gotta kiss like a pro.
Sure, kiss. Good.
Smile like a pro.
Uh-huh.
Frown like a pro.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Chew like a pro.
Sure.
This is I need some of this.
Ham, I could see Ham enjoying himself in Japan. All the interesting things that could be found there.
I come back here and it's like, look at all this useless stuff I bought.
Yes.
Completely useless.
Yes, they're great.
But it's fun to look at.
Ham, your face looks so buff. What have you been doing?
Working out.
That really is sick. Wow. That's a scary thing. All right. Chew on that for a while. See y'all in a couple weeks.